great day, sports world. What's up to all the sports lovers, the haters, the addicts, and the fanatics? This is Larry Patterson for GT365. That's Game Time 365 Sports right here on the GTSN. That's the Game Time Sports Network. Uh, we got about under 30. Yeah, we're a little bit over 30 minutes. Got 35 minutes till the Knicks kick off. But we're gonna squeeze this out. How we gonna squeeze it out? The Knicks. I do expect the Knicks to be in six tonight, and I
Knicks and
know,
six.
I
Knicks
know,
and six.
I know you feel the same way, brother. I know
Wait,
you
who at
feel.
home? Who at home?
It's in Atlanta.
Oh yeah, let's go and see y'all. What's today? See y'all Saturday.
If it goes seven, I'm gonna be pretty pissed.
I'm,
Nevertheless, nevertheless, we just had to we had the draft wrap up this past weekend, and what a weekend it was. Seen some shockers, seen some picks that we knew what was going to happen. Some guys that we knew their destination was going to be already. Today we're going to start AFC North, NFC North. So we're going to drag it out by divisions, two divisions a day. Um, is just to get more of a you get to see more of our handsome faces on a daily basis. So today, who we want to start with? Amon, who you want to start with?
man, surprise me, man. Just go ahead and roll. Let's roll it out, man. If you want to start with let's start with the NFC North because I got some some thoughts about a couple players from that division.
NFC North. Okay, so we're gonna start with Minnesota.
Perfect.
And in the first round, they took defensive tackle Caleb Banks out of Florida. That was a little bit of shocker. One of the ones that I was talking about. In the second round, pick 51, they took Jake Golday from Cincinnati, linebacker out of Cincinnati. Third round, pick 82, Dominique Orange, another defensive tackle out of Iowa State. So there's two defensive tackles within the top 100. Also a third round pick, pick 97. They took offensive tackle Caleb Tierman out of Northwestern. Third round, pick 98, safety Jacoby Thomas out of Miami. In the fifth round, pick 159, Max Bredesen out of Michigan, fullback. Hey, you know about him, don't you?
Just a little bit.
Also in the fifth round, pick 163, cornerback Charles Demings out of Stephen F. Austin State. Sixth round, pick 198, running back Damon Claiborne out of Wake Forest by way of King William. Uh, so shout out to him on that. And in the seventh round, pick 235, center Gavin Gerhardt out of Cincinnati. Um, what about this draft that intrigues you? Because they needed help with the defensive line. They were ranked 22nd. 22nd, no, 21st. I'm sorry, 21st as far as run defense. You know what they were ranked the year before that?
They were up there.
Two.
Yeah, I say they were definitely up there.
So a little bit of a drop there. I like the aggressiveness that you take with the defensive tackle. Who knows what Caleb Banks is going to be? That's a little bit of a project. But how do you feel overall about this draft?
Man, this draft is it's going to be highly contingent on Caleb Banks. Caleb Banks is going to make this draft class because picking him round one, pick 18, in our mock drafts, I think I had the Vikings out at every mock, and I picked Thieneman. I definitely would have
Everybody
picked him.
did.
I think everybody. I think it was like a shoe in, but take Caleb Banks. At 18, it's a big gamble. But hey, if you like, I heard today if you squint your eyes and you see Caleb Banks 2024 tape and his 10 best play, you say, "Oh God, that's Chris Jones." You
Hmm.
know what I mean? But I definitely understand it. What little, the reason why I thought he would fall to the second round is because of the injury to his foot. He's had two surgeries on his foot, and I thought that would scare some teams off. But obviously, the Minnesota Vikings felt comfortable enough with his medicals um, to clear him, take him, in the first round. Let's preface this by saying that the Vikings don't have a active GM right now, so I don't know who was making these picks. I don't know if it's Kevin O'Connell or president of football race. I don't know who. They don't have a GM right now, so yeah, that pick intrigued me. And then them doubling back and getting Dominique Orange and in later rounds that bolster that defense that was struggling, like you said, that finished up number two year before last, and they finished 22 this past year. So I think them folks in defense, for Flores in the first one, two, three, the first three rounds
That
tells you.
that's who I low key think was the leader in the draft from like
I-
four defensive players in the top 100.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he was leading it, man. So, but hey, man, like I said at the beginning, this draft's gonna evolve around Caleb Banks. If he hit and swing, okay, you got you a all perennial, all pro defensive tackle for the next 6+ years. And I also like Dominic Orange as well. Let's say Caleb Banks have issues with his feet or whatever the case may be. He never quite get to where you think he could be.
Hmm.
Dominic Orange is a damn good football player as well. To hey, I don't want to say it's insurance, but if something happened with Banks, hey, you can plug Dominic Orange in there, and you won't have a big of a drop off. But having them two big citrus and Caleb Banks, and it's not a look at Jake Golday too, Cincinnati. I think he was mocked in a couple first round mocks at the beginning of this at the end of the cycle. So there's a linebacker that was desperately needed. I think Ivan Pace still on the team as well. So pairing him with Ivan Pace, does look like a pretty nasty duo there. And Max Bredesen from Michigan, man, it's highly, fullbacks are lost art now. So to see him get drafted, that was pretty cool. And yeah, man, just the Vikings draft those Caleb Banks and Dominic Orange for me. That was gonna be the telltale in a couple years here.
Yeah, like I said, what a way to be aggressive at that position and to get goal day as well. And then those tackles are hit or miss. Caleb Tierman out of Northwestern. Who knows what you're gonna get out of him. So I like the fact of them being aggressive at it. Um, we can get more in depth with these because the NBA's best team, as I said, does play at 7 o'clock. But we're gonna get more in depth with these.
Okay.
The next team we got Green Bay, and in the second round, pick 52, cornerback Brandon Cease. Is that how you say his name?
Brandon Cisse.
Cisse out of South
Yes.
Carolina, third round pick, 77 defensive tackle Chris McClellan out of Missouri, fourth round pick 120 defensive end Danny Dennis Sutton out of Penn State, in the fifth round pick 153 center Jager Burton out of Kentucky, in the sixth round pick 201 cornerback Damani Jackson out of Alabama, and seventh round pick 216 kicker Trey Smack out of Florida. We got to get Mr. Rowe back on here as well to see how he feels about his draft. Um, pretty much defense.
Yeah,
Uh,
they had to go defense, man, because that offense would put up some points. Um, Taking Brandon Cisse at 52 was kind of was necessary. It was a need for them. We know Nate Hobbs, he not holding up, injury wise, coming off a free agent contract a couple years ago. They don't have Alexander. They tried Trayvon Diggs. They tried him out there. That didn't work out. So they had to address the cornerback room. And Danny Dennis Sutton from Penn State. He's an interesting player to me. See him a couple years ago. He popped off. He flashed. Had a kind of a slow 2025. So hopefully, he can muster some pass rush rotation and some run game rotation for them. But other than that, we all know you know, their first round pick, quote unquote, is Michael Parsons because they gave up 2 ones to get him. So, yeah. So we hoping those guys in the second, third, and fourth ring come in and be starters and contributors right away to help a defense that Jeff Halfley, he's the new head coach of Miami now. So I'm curious to see where these pieces fit in for that defense in Green Bay.
yeah, especially this their second pick with the third round. Chris McClellan, maybe he can be a replacement there for Kenny
Kenny
Clark,
Clark, yep.
and what was the other one that left?
Rashawn Gary.
Rashawn Gary. So I know he's more on the end as well, but hey, maybe that pick 77 can hit, and then with the fourth round pick as well, and then you see say, I watched some film on him. I just forgot how to pronounce his last name, but yeah, I watched, watched a little bit of film on him. I definitely like him. So we'll see what Green Bay does with those picks right there. You ready to go to the next one?
Yeah, man, we can roll through.
Chicago Bears, first round, they took the Vikings guy right there because he was right there. Uh, Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon in the first round. Second round, pick 57, they took center Logan Jones out of Iowa. That's the replacement for what's that center that went out?
He retired. I
He
can't think of his
retired.
name right
Yeah,
now.
Drew Dahlman.
Drew Dalman. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's potentially your Drew Dahlman replacement in the second round, pick 69, tight end Sam Roush out of Stanford. Third round, pick 89, wide receiver Xavier Thomas out of LSU. In the fourth round, pick 124, cornerback Malik Muhammad out of Texas. In the fifth round, pick 166, linebacker Keyshawn Elliott out of Arizona State. And in the sixth round, pick 213, defensive tackle Jordan Vandenberg out of Georgia Tech. Uh, I wrote it the same way that it was presented to me, but uh, I like what they did with the Dylan Thieneman pick, and then with the Logan Jones, you circle around and get your replacement for Drew Dahlman retiring this year. You get another tight end, and then you get a speedster in Xavier Thomas out of LSU. How do you think the Bears did in this draft?
I think they came out like a thief, getting Dylan Thieneman at pick 25. I thought he was going to 18 to the previous team. We talked about it. Or even high at the Cowboys at 12. That's how highly I thought about him. I like Logan Jones, replacing Drew Dahlman. Iowa has a marvelous record of producing offensive linemen from Robert Gallery back in the day. You got Tristan Wirfs. You had Kittle that come from there to play tight end. So, they know how to develop offensive linemen. And then I can't think of the coach's name right now from Iowa, but his track record speaks for itself.
It's at the tip of
It's
your
right.
tongue.
It's right here. I can't think of it right now. I think of it when we get to another team. But yeah, they have a track record of producing great offensive linemen that pan out in the league. And to get Sam Roush in the third round, it's a lot telling that they probably want to play a little 13 personnel, one back, three tight ends. And I think you're going to see that trend across the league this year because the Jaguars drafted a tight end. Somebody else drafted a tight end as well later on down the line when we get to that
We did.
team. Yeah, you guys did well. Yeah, you guys did. You guys help Troutman, but I think you're going to see a little bit of that. And I watched a little bit of Malik Muhammad. He's solid corner, get a little handsy at time, but I think with some NFL coaching, they can get that out of him. So yeah, man, that's my thought about the Bears draft. Dylan Thieneman coming in. Um, I thought this be a McNeil Warren spot here, but he didn't go to later on the second round and pick 58, I believe. But Thieneman, taking off the top of this defense, it's going to be huge.
Yeah, exactly. I'm ready to go to the Detroit pick.
Yeah, go ahead. You good?
Detroit in the first round, pick 17 took Blake Miller. That was a little bit of surprise. I guess considering like the rest of the tackles were off the board, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but Blake Miller out of Clemson, offensive tackle in the second round, pick 44, defensive end Derek Moore out of Michigan. And two Michigan guys picked back to back in the fourth round, pick 118, linebacker Jimmy Roller. And you'll tell us about them in a second. In the fifth round, pick 157, cornerback Keith Abney, the second out of Arizona State. Um, Also in the fifth round, pick 168, wide receiver Kendrick Law out of Kentucky. In the sixth round, pick 205, defensive tackle Skylar Gill Howard out of Texas Tech. And in the seventh round, pick 222, defensive tackle Tyree West out of Tennessee. The Blake Miller one, hey, I totally get it. And I totally get it. And me and you even talked about it on the draft show with taking an offensive lineman or guard as your first pick. It's not sexy, but then when you look 2 and 3 years down the road, like that's one of our cornerstone pieces from that draft and on this team. So, what's your opinion on the second and the fourth round picks from Michigan that they took?
Yeah. For me, I'm gonna focus on Derek Moore here. He has juice in his hands. He can bull rush you. I don't know if you remember watching the Senior Bowl, but he bull rushed. I can't think of who that tackle was. I think it was Bale from Miami. I could be wrong. I very well could be wrong, but he has juice in his hand. He's not the twitchiest pass rusher, but he will get after you. So I think you're going to see immediate. He's probably going to be a day one starter for them. If not, he's going to be first in rotation to come, on the field, third downs. Um, put his head in the dirt. He may stand up a little bit, but you're like in a couple years, if you told me, hey, Derek Moore is probably the second or third best pass rusher from this class, I would look at you and like I said, I wouldn't be shocked at all. And back to Blake
They need
Miller,
it.
they need it. Absolutely. That's the main thing. They really needed it to help Aiden out. Another Michigan man to another Michigan guy. So the camaraderie always going to be there. And Blake Miller, we talked about this pre-draft that they were probably going to go offensive line. We know it's going to be Caden Proctor or Fanu or Pregnon. We didn't know where they were going to go. But they ended up going Blake Miller. So that means Panay probably go to the left. And he just want more protection from, for Jared Goff. We had some people retire and you want them to get back to that explosive offense like they had 2 years ago. So was it a little too high for some people? I'm sure it was, but and I'm gonna preface this by saying this, and I think you agree with me right here, Larry. This, everybody wants to give out grades A, B, C, D, whatever the case may be, but I think that you really, really, really not gonna really truly be able to judge a draft class until probably year three when they've developed, got time to get, like I told you yesterday, get to the pro game, get the work in, the studying, the film, all that good stuff. So we're gonna look back on this class in 3 years, if the Lord say so, and say, hey, how did Blake Miller fare out, his first 3 years in the league and compared to where he was then. So I really like this Blake Miller pick here. It might not be sexy like you said. It might be too early, but it's right what the Detroit Lions need. And I think Blake Miller's a Dan Campbell type of guy. Hard nosed, gritty, good football player can come in, be first in the building, last out the building, go make sure Jared Goff is protected, he's upright. So I like that pick as well.
You know what we should do is go through those draft picks from like 2023 and 2024 and possibly 22 just to see how they pan out. That'll be a good exercise one day.
Yeah.
Going to the AFC North. We're gonna start with the Cleveland Browns.
Woo,
So
let me stop. Let me stop you.
go ahead.
Let me stop you. Put me on screen. I'm gonna be the first to admit I don't like how they handle the quarterback situations. I don't like how they do certain things, but I'm gonna give Andrew Berry credit when credit is due. These last past two draft classes, Mason Graham last year picking up an extra first, getting Travis Hunter. He picked Schlesinger, picked Fannin. That's just the first three rounds, and then you come in and you get Fano, you get extra picks. You come back and you get Denzel Boston, you get Casey Concepcion. All top 25 players, I think, on some people's boards this year. A+ draft class. Even if you just do those three players, that's an A+ draft class in my opinion. You trade down from six, and you get value as well. You trade down from 6 to 9. You pick up extra picks. You still get the player you wanted if you was gonna take them at 6, bro. Round of applause for the Browns. Much as people want to say it's the Cleveland Browns, yes, they don't have the main position figured out just yet, but the
Just yet.
foundation that just yet we don't know if that ever will happen, but the foundation that's being put around whoever's got, whether it's Shador or whatever, A+. Think about it. You come in and whoever the quarterback may be, whether it's Washington, Shador, and you can put the graphic back up now. You ain't got to see my face no more. You throw into a hair
Wanted
from
to see your face on something real quick. I'm about to ask you, but go ahead.
okay. You get the you throwing the ball to Harold Fannin, KC Concepcion, Jerry Judy, David no Denzel. I keep saying David Boston, Denzel Boston,
You got
and then you got
isn't the
Quincy.
Bell kid on there too?
Who?
Isn't a Bell kid? His last name Bell.
Yeah, and then they got I think they got Charles Tillman too from Tennessee. He's still on the roster.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
then you got Quinshawn Judkins in the backfield, Dylan Sampson in the backfield. You got Fano, and then you got all them free agent linemen that you signed.
Jedrick Wills on there as well.
I think he a free agent. I think
Okay.
Judge is a free agent. But either way, nevertheless, the Browns have done an A+ job, probably the last 2 years in this draft, man. So before you pull the picks up there, man, I just want to get that off my chest and say, hey, much as we poop on the Browns about being a sorry football team, bags in the brown bags in the stadium, Andrew Bear, you get your flowers from me, bro.
Well, hear this out. So I don't know if you heard or not, but
Don't be
Deshaun
a hater.
Watson,
Yeah, that's weak. Yeah.
Deshaun Watson is pretty much dubbing himself as QB1. Now, I understand it, and I know you do too. The $46 million,
You
like
playing? Absolutely. Supposed to do
if
something.
I'm the owner, yes, I want that guy that I'm paying $46 million for. I want him out there on that field. The thing is, it's going to be a clear cut competition now because what we thought would, and it still wasn't Shador's team, but you were thinking as the season closed and going through all season, and then what's my head coach name? Why am I blanking on these names,
Monkey.
bro? Todd Monken. When Todd Monken, even when he greeted Shador and the past relationships and things like that, you would think he's leaning towards Shador. But no, what this says is this is gonna be a clear cut competition for this job. Oh, and you also got Dylan Gabriel there, which nobody's looking at him as a starting quarterback. And but then we're going to go into a quarterback decision that they made, which I don't think that it's going to be a quarterback. I think he may be a quarterback in like as far as some gadget packages and things like that. But then you pick up Taylor Green in the draft as well. So now looking at the draft, look at one,
Look at this,
two, three,
man. Look
four,
at this, man.
five
This is
picks,
amazing.
5 picks within the top 100, and you start at pick 9. You traded back with the Chiefs, and you take Spencer Fano, offensive tackle out of Utah, and then you get your extra first round pick at 24. You took Kevin Casey Concepcion at Texas A&M. A lot of people may complain about the drops, but I'm thinking with good coaching, as you slated earlier about some of the rookies, good coaching, get that NFL coaching repertoire in there. I think that he's going to be fine. Oh, and then the second round pick 39, you turn around, you get Denzel Boston. Wow. A lot of questions about him not being able to separate, but he's long. He can take the top off as well, go up and get it. And then second round, pick 58, Emmanuel McNeil won. And that when they took that pick right there, I'm like, Cleveland won the draft. To me, anyway.
Yeah.
Uh, third round, pick 86, offensive tackle Austin Barber. Oh, so you not only take one offensive tackle, you take two, and then you throw them out there and see which one is what. And then in the fifth round, pick 146, you take Parker Brailsford out of Alabama, a center. In the fifth round, pick 149, linebacker Justin Jefferson out of Alabama. Fifth round, pick 170, tight end Joe Royer out of Cincinnati. Pick 182 in the sixth round, quarterback Taylor Green out of Arkansas. And I remember we was having a conversation about, I had asked you about this like a couple weeks ago about him, and you gave me your opinion on him. And then in the seventh round, pick 248, you take another tight end. Well, you take another tight end, Carson Ryan out of BYU. Uh, so well, I already know how you feel about what you just talked about. But then the McNeil Warren pick, was that a surprise for you?
Yeah, I didn't think he would drop that far. I thought he would have been getting late one, early second. But for him to drop to 58, just tell you that shows you what the league was thinking about him. Because I think Downs Stooks went before him. Um, maybe somebody else. I think it was just Downs and Stooks that went before him. See, he was safety 3 in this draft. But yeah, man, think about it, man. If you can pull that graphic back up, you got those are top 20 players on some people's boards. You got 4 of them. You got 4 first round players in in the first 2 rounds. And then Austin Barber. He played play at a high level in the SEC. And I remember watching Parker Burris for at Alabama this year and last year. And then Taylor Green, sixth round, pick 182. That's a fun project for Monken to work with. No telling what the future may hold from him. I just think the Browns have set themselves up phenomenally for the future. And as far as the quarterback spot, hey, that's up for grabs. Like you said, Deshaun Watson making 46 million this year. If I'm spending that much money on you, I want you to play. But at the end of the day, man, you always want the best person out there. Best person to come out of camp to be the starter come week 1 in September. So I can't rave enough about the Browns draft. I could talk about this all day long, but yeah, man, I think the Browns is probably my only. If I had to give a draft grade, and I don't like draft grades because it's too early in these guys' career, give them a grade probably 3 years from now. I would say the Browns got an A+ right now for me.
I know that, and I agree with you. I give him the same grade. To get Taylor Green in the sixth round, I know he may not even be a threat at the quarterback position competition and all that, but do you think there's a possibility they could be using him, or he may convert to a different position just to have
Nah,
another weapon there?
Nah, I think he wants to play quarterback. I think Monken said they had drafted him to play quarterback. So I think he's going to be in that quarterback room. Maybe a depth piece, maybe a third QB3, QB2 if he get elevated if somebody hurt. But yeah, man, he's a front project, 6'6", run a 4.4 something. That's unicorn type stuff at that position. It'll be curious to see what Monk and Rose out there for him. Because they're going to have some read option stuff for him that he was comfortable at doing at Arkansas with Mike Washington. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see in camp and preseason how they deploy him. And what he's able to do with his time that he has on the field.
That tall and that speed, if he
And
can
that
get there,
athletic,
and if he can get the mechanics down right, and just be able to just to play a balanced level at the quarterback position, just taking care of the ball, man,
they may have something. Sometimes you get them diamonds in the rough, bro. And if everything clicks for him,
that quarterback position, that battle come training camp and in preseason, that's gonna be something that we're gonna be watching right there
1,000%
closely.
because you got Shador, Dylan, Deshaun, and Taylor all in the same quarterback room. So that's one we definitely gonna be looking at.
Wow. Moving on to Cincinnati. And in the second round, pick 41, they took defensive end because they didn't have a first one. The first round pick is Dexter Lawrence. The second round, pick 41, they took Cassius Howell out of Texas A&M. Third round, pick 72, cornerback Takario Davis out of Washington. Fourth round, pick 128, guard Connor Lew out of Auburn. And also in the fourth round, pick 140, wide receiver Kobe Young out of Georgia. In the sixth round, pick 189, center Brian Parker the second out of Duke. In the seventh round, pick 221, tight end Jack Indries out of Texas. And then in the seventh round, pick 226, defensive tackle Landon Robinson out of Navy. Um, so my thing about the Bengals draft, this wasn't a first round pick, but I want to say in the last 3 to 4 years, you've taken a defensive end slash edge rusher first in the first round. You can go back to even with Murphy, uh,
Miles Murphy,
Miles Murphy, when they took him. I want to say in 2023.
he was like 28 overall.
Yes, back in the second in the first round, closer to the second. But then then you take Shamar Stewart last year, and we see how that panned out. And we'll see how it works out this year because a year in the league, got some guys under you. You bring in a guy like Dexter Lawrence, veteran leader. Maybe he can, help him steer in the right direction. How did you feel about the Bengals draft here?
Yeah, I'm so the Bengals address trenches. I love that the Bengals address trenches on both sides of the ball. Drafting Dexter Lawrence. I mean, not drafting Dexter Lawrence, but trading for Dexter Lawrence a week before the draft, then swinging it back around again. Cassius Howell in the second round. We know he's a fastball off the edge. His coming out party was that LSU game. year and a half ago, and then you go get Connor Lou, that in the fourth round. That he had like an ACL injury that sidelined him or hurt. I don't know if he missed all of last year, but he had a ACL injury. I think he would have been went a lot higher than 128. Um, so yeah, man, I think the Bengals addressing the trenches. They help their secondary in free agency. So I like what the Bengals did. It may be sneaky quiet, but getting Dexter Lawrence, getting a veteran that has played at a high level a few years ago, he's looking to bounce back. Hopefully, he can help Cassius Howes, Mal Murphy, and Shamar Stewart, uh, you know, you know, grow and push that pocket so their former first round picks can get loose and reap so the Bengals can reap some of the rewards of what they put into these draft picks the last past couple of years.
Takario Davis. I think two of their cornerbacks might be free agents at the end of the season. Do you like this? And I think before the season, he was kind of like dubbed as one of those guys that could have been first round pick.
With
Uh,
Sicario, yeah, he was getting some sneaky buzz.
uh, how do you feel about that pick right there? And with those two, I can't think of the two cornerbacks that are free agents at the end of the season, but could he be a replacement for him?
Oh, absolutely. You pick him in the third round. You expect third rounders, third, second, and first rounders to be contributors on your football team right away. So I think he can come in, step in, play a little bit in the slot for them. I think he's 6'3", so he might be more of an outside guy. So, yeah, I expect him to come in and impact their secondary immediately because they made some upgrades, but like you said, I think Dax Hill, he's up for a
Yeah,
contract, and I think he probably will get one, and DJ Turner's probably up for one as
that's
well.
not good.
So I think they'll, one of them will get paid. Maybe both of them get paid. So, but we know how the Bengals are. So, yeah, man, you never can have enough surplus talent in the secondary, and Sicario Davis should fit in and help them out immediately. Come camp.
As you said, the Connor Lou, by him sliding, and we'll see what happens with that. Kobe Young, yeah, could be what special teamer you see.
Uh huh.
With all the depth that they have over there. So, as far as like first early part of the draft, I think the Bengals did what they could do as far as upgrading the room, getting younger.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. One more before you get off the Bengals, you're gonna see a lot of teams. Maybe not 2027, but maybe the year after that. You know, weighing. Hey, do I give up a first round pick for a proven commodity, or do I take a young gun in the draft? And I think you've seen the trend over the last past couple of years. People are trading first round picks for proven commodities, especially for like the winners, like the Denver Broncos traded for Waddle. You got your quarterback in place, Bo Nix. We're gonna talk about his ankle at another time. Um,
Nothing to see here. We
yeah,
good.
nothing to see here. See Joe Burrow, you get him some help. Dexter Lawrence, you seen somebody got traded for a first round pick last year. Trey McDuffie. You see the Chiefs, give up, let him go for a first round pick. So you start seeing, hey, if I'm one of these teams that's contending, that's picking in the back end of the first round consistently on a yearly basis, hey, I'd rather let me get the proven commodity to help me get over the hump, get to the Super Bowl, than rely on a first round rookie that's coming into the league, still trying to get his feet wet to help me. So that's what I think you'll see a whole lot of more teams give up back into the first round picks so they can get proven players. They could be that missing piece for them going forward.
And that says a lot about the teams that are willing to part ways with those guys. And most of them are headed for contracts, like Trent McDuffie, looking for a contract, and he got one. Dexter Lawrence looking for a contract. Jalen Waddle, not so much looking for a contract. I think he got like maybe 2, maybe 3 years. I think he got like 3 years left on his deal. But you see where I'm going. Like if the
Mm-hmm.
contract is just about up, or you're looking for a contract, like look, what are you willing to give for this guy here? So I think you're right. I think we'll start seeing more of a trend like that, and even at the trade deadline as well. That could be a spot too. You ready to go on? on to the Browns. I mean,
Yep.
to the next team,
Yep.
the Baltimore Ravens. In the first round, pick 14, it took Oli Vega out of Penn State.
Olava Vega Leone.
Ola Vega Ione. See, I got that out
Mm-hmm.
of Penn State. In the second round, pick 45, they took defensive end Zion Young out of Missouri. In the third round, pick 80, wide receiver Jacoby Lane out of USC. In the fourth round, pick 115, wide receiver Elijah Surratt out of Indiana. In the fourth round, pick 133, tight end Matthew Hibner out of SMU. Fifth round, pick 162, cornerback Chandler Rivers out of Duke. Also in the fifth round, pick 173, tight end Josh. How you say that?
Josh Cuevas.
Squavis? Yeah.
Mm.
Out of Alabama. Right behind it, pick 174. You took running back Adam Randall out of Clemson. In the sixth round, pick 211, punter Ryan Eckley out of Michigan State, and two seventh round picks at 250, defensive tackle Rayshawn Benny out of Michigan, and 253, offensive guard Evan Berntson out of Northwestern. Uh, Ola Vega was the obvious pick in a lot of people's mocks as well at that 14 spot. What surprised me a little bit, taking Zion Young at
Mm-hmm.
45. And now so now you pairing well now who's to say Zion Young will be starting, but you drafted one with Mike Green last year. Oh, also, you still got Kyle Van Noy out there, Metabuke, who's more in the middle. He's there. So I think the Ravens are Jesse Mentor, slowly trying to build that defense up. What did you think about the Ravens draft?
Yeah, man. You pull a graphic back up for me one more time. I like what the Ravens did, especially in the third and fourth round, going back to back receiver and showing that room up. Yes, I know they picked up Zay Flowers' fifth year option, but I don't know if they're going to extend him. That's a little iffy right now. But I do like the, Jacoby 6'3", 6'4", big kid, contested catch guy. Doesn't separate a whole lot, but when the ball comes his way, he's gonna jump up and get it. Elijah Sherrod, we seen what he did with in the national championship. He's the back shoulder guy. I worry about his separation as well,
I was just about to
and
say that.
I worry about his long speed as well. But the intermediate and short stuff, he's gonna cut you up. And then who I'm at Adam Randall out of Clemson in the fifth round, very undervalued guy, underrated guy, run a 4.4, 4.3, 4.4, about 6'1", 6'1" and some change. So he's going to give you some boom and some boom out the backfield. And Zion Young and Vega alone, Vega I own it. We had them in some mocks in the first round. Vegas, he's just a Raven. You can it's just a Raven pick, and I think he's going to fit perfect behind Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. Especially Lamar is going to feel a little more at ease on game day, knowing that he has that guy only pass protecting for him. And then Zion Young, he's a little juiced up, a little twitchy. He's going to get after you, and we know the Ravens don't pay pass rushers. Well, I'll take that back. They paid Trey
Yeah.
Henderson, but whatever.
That's one name I forgot to
Yeah,
mention because I was talking about Mike Green. I was like, oh man, I forgot all about they had Trey Hendrickson.
yeah. So I mean, the first one, two, three, four, the first four picks are I think solid picks, and then you got Chandler Rivers that's gonna give you something. I don't know too much about Josh Cuevas and rookie, Ryan Eckley, the punters and stuff, because hey, they rarely get drafted in. So, but yeah, typical Raven draft.
Yeah, Jacoby Lane. Is it? I feel like some people may say there's a little bit of concerns there. Um, do you see that as a potential option for Lamar?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I can see him hitting the field year one. Because we have Rashad Bateman, right? We seen how that's going. What how's that playing out for you? You tried to pluck in what's my boy D Hop. That didn't, I'm not saying that didn't work out. They just didn't go far as they wanted to. Zay Flowers, we spoke on that. They brought Zay Jones in for a while, so they just need to get
Odell
some youth.
Beckham.
Odell Beckham. They just need to get some youth in that wide receiver room, and I feel like with Jacoby Lane being the big body outside guy, that's a good look for them. And then like I said, Elijah Sherrod being the back shoulder king, um, the rod him up God. His separation scares me a little bit, but he can definitely find pockets in zone coverage and work that way. So I expect them to see the field for sure this year.
They also got that Wallace kid, right? Is it Tez Wallace?
Tylen Wallace,
Tylen Wallace. They drafted him. Was it last year or the year before?
yeah, maybe a couple years ago.
Maybe a couple years ago. So I mean, you got some youth in that receiver room, something that they really haven't really had because it seemed like they always wanted to replace a veteran with another veteran. So now you get some young guys in there, and I mean, I know Mark Andrews is still there, but um, we'll see what happens. We'll see what
Yep.
happens with the Ravens there. Last team, the Pittsburgh
Ooh.
Steelers, and in the first round they took. Did you see when they did the whole that
Bruh,
renegade? They wasted our time for Max
Ian Nacho.
Ian Nacho. I had it too, man.
He was
Max
cooking.
Ian Nacho out of Arizona State picked 21. And a lot of people thought that they were gonna go a different direction. Even Philly was right there. Philly traded up
Snooping
with
around.
Dallas.
They were
Traded up with
snooping around,
Dallas
boy.
to,
Yes.
to to get a player that was on the Steelers' radar. And man, what a perfect sticking move right there, um, by the steel by the Eagles. But in the second round, pick 47, they took Jeremy Bernard, so they didn't get a receiver in the first round. Took one in the second round out of Alabama. Third round pick 76, your guy, quarterback Drew Aller out of Penn State. In the third round, pick 85, cornerback Dalen Everett out of Georgia in the third round. 96, offensive guard Jennings Dunker out of Iowa, who had a pretty good combine. Uh, Fourth round, pick 121, wide receiver Caden Wedgen out of Iowa, special teamer, punt returner. And in the fifth round, pick 169, tight end Riley now Nowakowski out of Indiana. In
Yep.
the sixth round, pick 210 defensive end Gabe Rubio out of Notre Dame. Seventh round, two seventh round picks, 224. You took safety Robert Spears Jennings out of Oklahoma. And pick 230, you took running back Eli Henrich out of Navy, who they had a lot of good things to say about him, and he could be a dark horse to make this team.
Mm.
What you think about the Steelers draft?
Going right here, 2 and 3, second and third round. I like Jennings Dunker. I thought he was gonna be a Raider at some point, but whatever. I do like the Max Ian Nacho pick. As we said, they needed some more assurance on the offensive line. Broderick Jones with penalties and injuries, and five times he had a torn ACL. So health and stay on the field are little concerns at the both right and left tackle. So I do like that pick. He may come in and challenge for a spot day one. I like Jeremy Bernard here in the second round. I thought he may go a little lower than this, but I think it's perfect. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we know how they do with wide receivers. Um, Round one, I heard that that Mikal Lemon was on the phone for with the Steelers, but the Eagles traded up in front of them to get him and pick him. So I don't want to say Max in Nacho as a backup pick, but that's what they landed on and ultimately settled for. And pick 76 Drew Aller. He's a backup guy that may push some starting spots here, depending on what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. You have Will Howard on the line. I mean, on the what am I trying to say? In the quarterback room as well. So I don't know how that's going to play out, as far as who gets spots and who don't get spots. Currently, it's going to be the Will Howard and Drew Aller show after Aaron Rodgers, and
Can
one of
you
the
hear me?
Pittsburgh. Yeah, I can hear you. and I want to do the Pittsburgh Steelers get back in the quarterback market, next year. Because I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay, so we're having some technical difficulties right now, but he'll be back. But what I was saying was, I think Will Howard and Drew Allen are similar quarterbacks. I think Will Howard's a better quarterback, and we'll
Fuck.
see how that works out here in the future. And one more pick that I back to the Jeremy Bernard pick. He can play that. He can threaten Roman Wilson, for some time because he got drafted for three years ago, and he really hadn't seen the playing time, whether that's just to performance or injury. So we'll definitely see how that goes. So that's all I got for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You there, brother? Still? No, he's trying to get back in here. But all in all, for the NFC and AFC, I'm starting with the AFC North. There was some growth made with the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens. They're kind of in the transition phase. So we'll see how that goes. We know Lamar's going to come up on a new contract here soon. So I'm excited, especially for the Browns, man. Like, and I keep talking about the Browns because I'm just so excited for their class and their franchise. What if Deshaun Watson can get back to the Browns? Deshaun Watson he was in Houston 4 or 5 years ago. That would definitely be amazing. Having KC Concepcion, do the short to intermediate stuff. Having Denzel Boston, down the field. Quinshawn, Dylan Sampson, Quinshawn Judkins. It's exciting times in Cleveland, man. Just hold on. And for the NFC North, the Vikings, taking the swing with Caleb Banks. Uh, the Bears, taking Dylan Thinman, who I was very high on. I would have liked to see them attack the defensive line a little earlier, but you got to trust your board and pick who you think's available at the time that you pick. Um, yeah, it was definitely a wild night one and night two with trades and moving up and down the board, shuffling. So I
Yeah,
can
man.
keep
I can hear
yeah,
you, man. Somebody called me, man.
and it messed everything up.
Yeah,
Yeah. So what?
I
So
missed
what?
on everything you said.
Yeah, so I was, I like to think we left off on the Steelers. Basically what I was saying was, I think Will Howard and Drew Allen gonna be fighting for QB2. We all know probably Aaron Rodgers probably be there, and that'll be it. And I'll be curious to see what happens with Drew Allen with some NFL coaching under Mike McCarthy, Will Howard under some NFL coaches under Mike McCarthy, because normally whatever quarterback Mike McCarthy has or he picks, he normally sticks and rocks with. You know what I mean? So it's definitely going to be interesting to see the Steelers in 2027. Do they dip back into the draft and try to get a quarterback class that's insanely deep that I can see about seven going in the first round, or do they try to develop one of these two to be their starter in the future? Um, and ultimately, what I wrapped up with is talking about each division, the NFC North and the AFC North, and I'm most excited about the Cleveland Browns and their offensive weapons and what they look like with Carson Schwarzenegger and Denzel Ward and Miles Garrett, Mason Graham. I'm excited about that haul. I'm excited about their offense now with Denzel Boston, Case Concepcion doing the short to intermediate stuff. Dylan Sampson, Quinshawn Judkins coming back from Achilles or some lower leg injury, and now new and revamped offensive line. I said the future's bright for Cleveland if they hit the quarterback correctly. Can Deshaun Watson get back to that MVP Deshaun Watson in his Houston days? That remains to be seen. And I said for the NFC North, I'm really excited about Dylan Thieneman. I was very high on him. I would have liked to see Chicago dress defensive line earlier in the draft, but hey, however the board falls, that's the way it falls. And for Detroit, can they get back to that 2023 Detroit when they were on fire? I think they have the protection up front now to do it. Now it's just you don't have Montgomery no more. Jameer Gibbs probably get an extension. So you have Pacheco and Gibbs. Pacheco remind me of the same similar type back. but Gibbs has way more juice than Pacheco does. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be fun times. I think it's gonna be a whole lot of points scored in the NFC North this year. So that was my little two piece on the NFC North. I'm gonna let you finish it up here. I know you want to get your boys and watch your boys play here in a very few minutes.
Now, when you were talking about Pacheco and the Lions, I know Jameer is up for contract extension, uh, but a running back could have been good for them in that draft somewhere as well. I'm not sure if they got one undrafted or not, but to close out when you were talking about Pittsburgh, I agree with everything you said. Me personally, if you want to bring Aaron Rodgers back, um, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't mean is it a good idea as far as like having a veteran quarterback in the room. Yes, but you're bringing him there to start, right? So if you're Mike McCarthy, you got two young guns in that room already. Hell, you already got Mason Rudolph in there. You want to talk about veteran leadership? I know Mason and Aaron are two different quarterbacks. But Aaron at the tail end of his career, after this season, where he going? Who he starting? He going on the couch. So if you got Drew and you got Mason, not Mason, my guy who was drafted last year,
Will Howard.
Will Howard, let them duel it out. You already got receivers in the room. I would just start out like that's all. Maybe they do need that veteran presence in the room, but in training camp, I'm just letting it go between those two guys.
I mean, I feel what you're saying, but I feel you. I can see that if your case, if you were saying that we fast forward 8 months and it's the off season now, and we're going to 2027, I feel you on that. But the only reason why I say you have to bring back Aaron Rodgers because you got some a defense as if it's really turned up and they get right, you can make a deep run with T.J. Watt, Hayward and them boys, them corners, Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter Jr. You got Jamel Dean signed from the Bucks. Um, you have another corner that came over. I think that defense is it's not it has its holes, but I guarantee you'll have a lot of chance, a better chance of going further with that defense in the playoffs if you have Aaron Rodgers than if you have a Drew Allen or Will Howard as your starting quarterback. It's like no disrespect to them two, but you don't see Aaron Rodgers take a team. Yes, it was eons ago, but Aaron Rodgers took you to the promised land with he took a team to Super Bowl, one Super Bowl, and I think that window, the Super Bowl window for the Steelers as we know it now, will be open, have a crack in it if you were to start than if you were to start Drew Aller or Will Howard now. It's like if you're going to start Howard or Drew Aller, why TJ Watt still there? Why you trade for Ramsey? You want to just start fresh. With young guys. And I think the Steelers' way of keeping those guys on the roster because they're Steelers for life. You want to make the best effort forward, and I think it's about having Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback this year. Now, that argument, if you say, "Hey, I'm on in January, February," and you want to put that same argument up, I'm with you because it's like, okay, we've cleansed from the Mike Tomlin era. Mike McCarthy had a whole year as the Steelers coach. He knows what works. He knows Aaron Rodgers not coming back. You done seen Aller. You done seen Will Howard in practice. 2 years for Will Howard, 1 year for Drew Aller. You done seen how they work in practice. You know if they could potentially be an answer by this time next year. And that'll paint a clear picture for you of what you need to do in the 2027 draft when we get there. Hey, do we need to get a quarterback or do we need to, hey, build around Drew or Will, whoever the quarterback may be that you that you signal that may be your guy in the future. But for now, 2026, it's still all chips in the middle of the table. You still got T.J. Watt, Casey Hayward, and those guys that we just named. So I'll roll with Aaron Rodgers one more year. And then they say, let's say, for example, hey, they get to November and they're not in playoff contention, then you can throw Will Howard or either Drew Allen out there, see what you got to give you the bigger picture for hey how I'm going to attack the 2026, 2027 off season, if that makes sense.
How tall is Drew Allen?
6'5".
You have any idea how tall Will Howard is?
6'4".
So they're right around the same.
Yeah. I think Will Howard's like 6'4". I think Drew Allen's a true 6'5". No, Drew Allen's 6'4". I think Will Howard's a true 6'4". So I think they're both 6'4". I think at the combine without cleats and shoes, I think Drew Allen's like 6'4" and a quarter.
Two massive quarterbacks that can see
Big
over the
boys.
lines.
I would down his heel, and I'll be the only one to down his heel, bro. If Drew Allen clean up some stuff, remember Flacco when he first came out, he won't polish, but he got it together. He reminds me of Flacco. Not the slow as the fastest guy. Little slew foot can do just enough to keep the play extended if need to, but he has a super duper arm. And I think if Drew Allen clean up some stuff, it's slight, but he can probably take over as a starter probably in year two if everything goes right. But that's just me. But I down that hill by myself. I was a big Allen fan last year when he had Tyler
Oh,
Warren in them
you
four.
were.
Oh boy, let me tell you, boy. I
It
thought he
broke
was.
it broke your heart when he went back, right?
Yeah, I was like, yo, you need to come out, man. But hey, things happen. We got our guy now. But if he had a play, if he had came out that year, I was pounding the table for him. Go get him. But we got the Cuban Missile now, so it's all good.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. If you were still and Steelers fans as well? What would you do? Do you want to run it back with Aaron Rodgers, or do you think they should start with the young guys? I mean, either way, we both see where each other's coming from.
Sure.
Uh, but let us know in the comments what you think. Who Aaron Rodgers or the young guns?
Man,
Uh,
I feel like and I know I'm gonna let you go after. We gotta get out of here after this though. But I feel like with the Steelers and Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers, you know how you date your ex and y'all break up for a little bit. And you remember how those good times we had together, and we both single. And you were like, let's run it back one more time. That's how I feel Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers doing right there. They're like, we done been together for a long time. We've seen our ups and downs, and we've seen the good times and bad times. We've both been through some stuff. We broke up, went our separate ways. One went to the Cowboys, one went to the Jets, and played a little bit, and then somehow we found our way back together. And we was like, this was meant to be. So let's run it back one more time and see if this thing can work out. So that's how I feel about it, man. They can just go make it happen again.
what if they get back together and just is a complete disaster?
Okay, then so you only got to do it for a year, and y'all can split up. Hey, ain't nothing hurt. But we're not getting too far and too deep in there because I go off the walls, off the rails right there. But so that's all I got for this episode, man. We made it an hour. We tried to shorten it for you guys. So, but once two nerds get to talking, man, it's kind of getting hard to stop. So, I don't know what divisions we're gonna do next, but whatever Larry has up his sleeve, we'll have a game plan for you guys, and we'll bring you some personal um, thoughts of these drafts here.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah.
So should come to you tomorrow. We'll go off camera and we'll put our thoughts together and see what we can come up with, see where we're going next. Um, Let us know in the comments where you think we should go next. Which division? You got anything else before we get about it?
Nah, man, I know you want to go see your Knicks go back to New York for Game 7. And it'll definitely be a delight to see them on Game 7 on Saturday night. Do you know that's going to be an 8 o'clock game in the Garden, too? All the pressure on the Knicks. Hawks ain't got nothing to lose. They just here. They just here. They just here not to get fined. So we'll see, man.
Man, we better take care of business tonight.
You got it. Last time
We
you said that.
better take care of business tonight.
The last time you said one of your teams better take care of business, y'all was the New England Patriots was holding the trophy up in the AFC Championship in the snow in Mile High. So don't say better. You better say hope. So
Have a good night, everybody.